Welcome to one of the best games of the 1990s. It's not the best. It's definitely in the top 32, it might be top 16. This is Pokemon Card GB, the Pokemon trading card game for Game Boy Color. Say that 5 times fast. It is an open world trading card game for your Game Boy. Well, it doesn't qualify as open world because it's not like 100 hours of fighting against your stamina meter. You could actually finish this in like a day if you, I don't know, woke up at 6 in the morning or something. I was going to stream it, but I'm traveling this week, and so I don't know like what kind of schedule I'll be able to adhere to, so this one's just going to be pre-recorded. Probably the biggest weakness this game has is the opening, because you have to get through the tutorial and all of that. So I guess, I mean, when you look at like the materials about this game, like the interviews that Ishihara and the team did about why they made it in the guidebook, they mentioned that one of their goals was to make sure, like, okay, all of us 90s kids that had Pokemon cards back in the day that just like collected them and didn't know how to play, they knew that was going on, and so they made this game in part to teach it, to like teach the physical card game to kids, which means that the tutorial is unskippable, and so we're just going to suffer together for a little bit. But if you're unfamiliar with the game, or you need a refresher on what it was like back in, I think this game is 1998, was that the copyright year? It's pretty good. It's the first 3. We're not going to ask Sam any questions. Oh no. It's the first 3 sets, so base set, fossil, jungle. It cuts off right before Team Rocket. And there's also, it has some of the promo cards as well, like the promo Mewtwo that came out with Koro in Japan, I think, and was a movie promo overseas. I really like, it's not an unpopular opinion by any stretch of the imagination. It's kind of a basic opinion to say, oh, they should do a modern version of this with all the cards. I don't want that. I don't want a Pokemon card game adaptation that has every card in it, because it would just make you realize how terrible 90% of the card pool is. I mean, 99% of Pokemon cards suck already. Once you throw them all together in the same format, that's a lot of wasted cardboard. But I do wish that they had done follow-ups to this. One of my disappointments with like the latest Nintendo leaks over the past couple years is that it seems there were never any plans whatsoever for any follow-up to this. They had a canned sequel to Pokemon Pinball in the works on the DS, but not this. Specifically, I wish that they had like preserved the advanced format EX Ruby and Sapphire on in a sequel. Alright, I should actually talk about how to play the game. So, part of the reason that this Game Boy game is so good is because it's actually pretty easy to adapt the one-on-one battling style of the trading card game to a video game. I mean, it's already adapted from a video game, and it's just a further simplification of it. So this game, it has some Magic the Gathering inspiration in it, but instead of lands, you have energy cards. So you attach energy to your Pokemon, and they can use moves, if they have enough energy. Here in the base set days, like, the general rule is 1 energy gets you 10 damage. There's cards that deal additional damage with deprecating returns on them. One of the reasons that, like, big basic Pokemon... Okay, Machop here has 1 energy for 20 damage. That's really good. We don't have, like, a Doduo or any of the flying types in this deck. Flying type Pokemon are colorless, but they resist fighting. That's how they differentiate them in base set. Right, okay. Oh, one of the cool things about this game, now since I'm stuck in Dr. Mason's tutorial anyway, the characters in this game, their portraits were modeled on... Hold on a sec. I've never used the glossary function. I'm just wondering. No, it does not let you reference what you were going to do. Okay. The character portraits were modeled on actual people. So... Right, you want to attach a psychic energy instead of a... I'm sorry, I've done this tutorial so many times. You would think that I would have it memorized by now. So they based the portraits on actual people. Dr. Mason is actually the localized name for Dr. Aoyama, who was a character played by Aoyama Koichi. Or if you use Western name order, Koichi Aoyama. And he was one of the original designers behind the Pokemon trading card game that came up with the rules. He still works on the game over at Creatures Inc. And so Dr. Aoyama was like the character that he went as to like events and tournaments to promote it and to get kids interested in the game. Sort of like Volcano Oda in the Digimon Virtual Pet scene, or Super Digimonkey for the Japanese Digimon card game, or Dr. O in Cardfight Vanguard, mascot figure. So Dr. Mason is like this permanent preservation of Aoyama's character, and we'll meet some others, other characters that are based on real people, like the various club leaders in the game are based on... The big one that I always remember is that Ken is based on... No, wait. Murray is based on Miura, who was another of the co-designers. I think he might have been the dude that went on to do Colossus Order, but I don't remember. That was a Sega card game. It's all in my history of Pokemon TCG videos, which that was 2-ish years ago now, so I've long forgotten a lot of that info. But also, like, there's a character that we'll run into in probably the same episode. Yeah, we definitely will, because I'm probably just going to make a beeline for him after this. Imakuni, who is based on Imakuni Tomoaki, the musician that helped not just create card art for the game, but actually made some videos that, if I don't get copyright blocked, we'll watch some clips of that. They did like a music video. This tutorial duel is fixed, by the way. Like, you can't lose it. You can't really win it, either. I mean, is it really winning if you were coached? What if I clip right here? What if I just clip right here? Yes! We're free! Alright, finally. We will never talk to Sam again. I don't even think you can normal duel Sam. You know what, for this playthrough, I will try to duel and win against every NPC at least once. Except Sam. Okay, so starter deck choice. This is... Alright, let me just get this out here. Of these three, Blastoise is the only one that's actually good as a Pokemon. But the choice here is really between which trainer cards you want to start your deck with, because some of them have more copies of Professor Oak. I think the Charmander one has computer search in it. Hold on one moment. Okay, the super secret Twitter poll that I did had Bulbasaur as the winner, so we are going to go with Bulbasaur. Whoops. Bulbasaur and Friends deck. You can rename your deck, just like you can rename your starter Pokemon in the main games. This is really modeled on the video games, if that wasn't obvious enough. Yeah, so the card clubs that Dr. Mason talks about, these basically substitute for gyms. You can do, there are 8 of them, you can do them in any order you want. Oh well, we'll mess around with auto deck machines later. There's an NPC there that you can win energy cards from, but we won't be needing to do that. So we have Fighting, Lightning, Rock, Psychic, Fire, Science, Grass, and Water. Fighting and Rock are the same type in the TCG, but with different weaknesses and resistance. And Grass and Psychic, or Grass and Poison. There was a flip that happened in the TCG at one point where poison types started being printed as psychics because they're purple, instead of grass. But back in these days, grass was the type that they assigned poison to. So Science Club is really the poison club. In terms of like, all right, first things first, we need to do kind of a tour of these actually, because there's something you get for talking to the masters that you can't access, and this is our rival, Ronald. He's a jerk rival, like the old school Gen 1 and 2 Pokemon rivals. Yeah, so Ronald is... he's not just a jerk. So this game has a sequel, Pokemon Card GB2, where Ronald is just as important as the first game, really. I wouldn't say more important. He's integral to both of them. Wow, for all the stuff this game does right, like the N and the H font, it's hard to tell them apart. I like this game's font for the most part, but part of that is nostalgia. Right. What were we doing? We were talking to the club masters. So one of the things you want to do is don't actually duel them, but when you start the game, a little cheat is when you talk to a club master, but do not, like if you talk to them at all, that sets off the flag that you've talked to them, and then when you go to any computer in the overworld and you check your mail, you'll have mail from Dr. Mason. The first one I think is a freebie. I have some information for you about booster packs, which in this game just spawn from the ether. There's no currency system or money, you just get booster packs for winning duels. So I guess in this world, trading cards are actual magic, and then card pop, which I don't think we'll be able to card pop in the course of this LP. I could try to set something up. Card pop is basically just using the infrared little glass thing in the top of the Game Boy Color. It was a new unique feature of it at the time, that you would exchange a pulse between the two of them, and you could only card pop once with each person, but it would give you a random card. Okay, this is a very good first booster pack. This is Coliseum. Most of the good stuff in the video game version of the Pokemon trading card game is in Coliseum packs. One of the strategies people have is to just farm Coliseum packs in front of, like, I think maybe it was Jennifer in the Grass Club gives them out, whoever's in the lobby. This is Hitmonchan, kind of the face of the Haymaker deck, which is conventionally accepted as the best base set deck, although in hindsight it has been established that Stall wins out just through coin flips with Lickitung. Base set Lickitung. I think he's in base set. It is completely viable to just build a deck around Hitmonchan, pretty much. You only need about 8 basic Pokemon if you run the numbers to get one in your hand most of the time. And then, yeah, so after you talk to a club master, you will get information from Dr. Mason about that person's deck and a suggestion of which decks to study from the auto deck machines, which are deck machines that have pre-built recipes in them, but to activate them you have to have the corresponding medal from a different club. And you can do the clubs in any order, so it's even more open than like the actual first Pokemon games, which kind of railroaded you into the beginning. Oh, energy search. This is a good common. It functionally, when you think about it, in most decks it's just reducing your deck size by 4, but that makes you more likely to draw your other cards. In multicolor decks, it's important for being able to run multiple different energy types easily, because if you only have like 6 copies of one type of energy and then 7 of another, it's a fixer. Now we can't talk to all of the club masters right away. Some of them are blocked off. Oh, we need to talk to one of these NPCs. This woman here, she's kind of a gossip, and so she enables certain NPCs appearing in the overworld. This claim about Ishihara, okay, Ishihara Tsunekazu is one of the co-creators of the Pokemon trading card game. He was responsible for getting Hudson Soft to make this game. Yes, this game is made by the Mario Party people. It has some all-star talent on board. this claim about 10,000 cards is a real claim about him. That the thing is, in reality, Ishihara's 10,000 card collection is Magic the Gathering cards. Yeah, the guy was a huge Magic nerd, and that helped inspire making the Pokemon card game, because he was working at the Pokemon, or he was working on the Pokemon games on the project. Wait, we can talk to Murray to activate his flag. He won't respond to us right now, but I think this should set off his email. Clubmaster Murray doesn't listen to what people are saying. Yeah, Murray is based on Miura, which will become more obvious when we finally see his face portrait. Yep, here's the Murray email. Yeah, this game was made by Hudson Soft, so the composer, Ichiro Shimakura, I think, he's the Mario Party 3 composer and also did music for all the other Mario Party games and also like Wii Party U and some other stuff. But this game has some jammin' tunes. I call it the soundtrack that keeps on giving, because like it has such a huge remix scene. I should see if I can get permission to play some of my favorite remixes of it during this LP. Stuff by like the Noble Demon. I think Game Metal did an adaptation of the Club Master theme. It's like kind of cliche now to do the boss battle theme music as a rock or metal, but my favorite is actually the normal duel theme, which we will be hearing plenty of. Oop, I didn't mean to talk to him again. Perils of old RPGs. Ken has some surprising similarities to that old story that Takashi Kazuki told about the creation of Kaiba Seto and Yu-Gi-Oh! That he was based on somebody who said, like, go collect 1,000,000 cards. I don't know if that particular anecdote was like public information yet, because I don't know when the compiled volumes of Yu-Gi-Oh! Were released in Japan. I know that the Cards with Teeth, the chapter where Kaiba debuted, definitely came out before this, but I don't know if... oh, Lapras. This is another of the big basics. 80 HP instead of 70, but this one... So, the wording is kind of like overly worded. Does 10 damage plus 10 more damage for each water energy attached to Lapras, but not used to pay for this attack's energy cost. Like, they probably could have compressed that down to plus 10 more damage for each additional water energy attached. And the cap is 30. So it deals 10 to 30 damage depending on how many water energy is attached. Double colorless energy. This provides 2 colorless energy at a time, but is a special energy card, so you can only run 4 of it. And then... So we can't get to Rick to ask him about... to trigger his email. We can't get to Nikki yet. We can't get to Amy. We can talk to Mitch, and then the Lightning Club leader, Isaac. Yeah, so Mitch's gimmick is that to duel him, you have to first defeat all of the pupils that he sent to the other clubs. Oh, this is a jam. And Isaac's just busy fixing lights. So let's read... Oh. Weird, that set off the Mitch email, but not the Isaac one. So we cannot get the Isaac mail until we can actually duel him. I like that coughing art, but I'm like attached to it because it was one of the first Pokemon cards I ever got. Alright, and then... Oh, we need to talk to the gossipy lady again. Because we've got to... Nope. Not the dialogue I'm looking for. Well, let's go talk to Ishihara. If you visited this place before talking to the gossipy lady, Ishihara actually wouldn't be here, and it affects a cutscene later on that occurs when you find somebody else at Ishihara's house. They won't interact with Ishihara because he won't be there if you haven't talked to that lady yet. Wait, I went to the wrong club. No new news right now. We might have to get into a duel before she'll initiate the other one. There is another character... Oh yeah, before I do that, I should show you. This is the Pokemon Dome, so they've got books about the legendary Pokemon cards, because, again, they appear to just be magic in this world. But then also, like, this plaque. Plate of Legends. And examining this causes our rival to appear again. This is a missable event. I don't think it initiates if you come in with the medals already, because, like, going in will you'll have already set off the flag for being able to go through this door. And spoiler, Ronald will already be behind it. Oh, who could have foreseen that? Okay, there's one other NPC that can initiate the thing I'm trying to... No. Right, you're the oddish trade girl. I don't think I have one. No, I don't. Is she in the water club? Yes, okay. This is the other NPC that can initiate Imakuni's appearance. Imakuni, again, real world person, actual musician. When you enter, there's like a random chance that he will just be in the corner. Actually, every time you start up the game, I think it's already determined which club he's in. And I'm gonna want to put on my headphones for this so I can hear it before you hear him before you see him. He's like a Tyrannosaurus. You can go and tell the real Imakuni I said that about him. But the guy is kind of like an Audino, I guess, in card terms. That only makes sense to people who played Pokemon Black and White. He's a big piñata. You beat him up and he spits cards out. Aha, finally, here we are. The super musical star. I'll sing the Poké Rap. I think in the original he was singing the ending theme to the first anime series, Pokemon the Edukana, which he composed and performed. Right. Okay, every time you duel somebody in this game, it says the number of matches and the number of prizes. There are no 2-match, no 3-match duels in the whole game. It's basically saying if they're... Everything is best of 1, that's what it's saying. I think you can do best of 3 if you play against another person in, like, PvP, but there weren't even tournaments for this game even in Japan, so that would purely be a casual thing. Right, so Goldeen, Jigglypuff, Krabby. Right, Krabby has this setup thing where it can search for copies of itself. That Call for Family is pretty common among different basics. And Jigglypuff is there to stall. I don't like coin flip cards in general, but they're kind of useful. Imakuni... I don't know if anybody has ever lost to Imakuni before. Watch, I jinxed it. Now I'll lose. He is designed to be very easy to beat. So I will not be exploiting him too hard. Yeah, so his iconic trainer card that he plays at every opportunity confuses his active Pokemon. It actually, there's a legitimate strategy around using it in the sequel to this game, Pokemon Card GB2. But now he has to win a coin flip in order to attack. Okay, he did that. And now he has to win another coin flip in order for Leak Slap to work, which is just part of its effect. And now he can't use a Leak Slap for the rest of the game. These kinds of effects are why he's so easy to beat. I actually don't know if... I don't know if you can be asleep and confused at the same time. I should, but it's been years since I was serious about Pokemon. Nope, you can't. One overwrites the other. Yeah, it was probably better to just leave it as confused, because that will never recover, whereas sleep randomly heals between each turn. Oof, we got a whole lot of nothing in our hand right now. This game's pixel art, like, if you compare it to the actual cards, it's impressive what they were able to do, because unlike the sequel, this was a black cartridge Game Boy Color game, so it had to run on both the original Game Boy and the Game Boy Color, so it has a monochromatic mode. You know, for like being, like on the Pocket it would be in black and white, on the original Game Boy it would be in green and darker green. On Game Boy Color, they get to assign 4 colors per 8x8 pixel region, but you only get 8 palettes on screen at a time. That's 8 palettes of 3 colors plus transparency. Transparency counts as a color on old game consoles. I know this because I work in pixel art. So like most of the card arts you see, like Farfetch'd, okay, it has that black, it has that white, the light brown, and the dark brown. That's 4 colors. The white is really the transparency being put onto the background, I think. No, I think that Farfetch'd's white is different from the background white. So they might have overridden the transparency with another color. Excuse me while I sit here for 20 turns bricking. This is riveting. Very much convincing people that this is one of the great games of the 1990s. Look, we have a dugong and no energy to put on it. Sure, my bench is full of crap. I'm not listening to that Imakuni theme the whole time. You guys can suffer with it, I'm not. I've heard it enough, I did my time. That was painful. Alright, cough it up, bro. So this is the reason that that everybody should be hunting down Imakuni as soon as they can. When you duel him, that's a Hitmonchan, that's a very good pull. And a switch, that'll be good for a deck. You get one of every booster pack. I mean, nothing if you lose, he just makes you sing the poker rap. And presumably it's so terrible that he just runs away in fear. Aerodactyl, this is part of an interesting lockdown strategy where you stop the opponent's cards from evolving. There's an actual trainer that uses it later in the game that we'll see if it actually plays out. I mean, by then we'll have access to real ultimate power. This is energy removal. Very important card. Probably should never have been printed. TPC would be wise enough to later make energy removals attached to coin flips. The revised version of this energy removal too, you have to win a flip in order for the removal to go off. Sometimes energy control is attached to Pokemon attacks that cost energy themselves, which can be a better way to balance it. And even then you get coin flips sometimes. But yeah, energy removal makes every deck it's put in better, similar to the draw support like Professor Oak and Bill. Super energy removal was banned at one point. Discard 1 energy attached to one of your own Pokemon to remove 2 from an opponent's Pokemon. Because you can only attach 1 energy card per turn, what these are doing is they are effectively putting the opponent turns behind. You are getting time out of them. Then maintenance is good to avoid decking out. Good luck with the poetry career. Okay, let's get down to deck building. Before we build a serious deck, so there's a little trick to getting more energy cards quickly, because as you can see, like, we have 0 water energy right now. We're very starved for energy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put all the cards we can into this deck so that all our energy cards are used up. Side note, they really got the interface right for the Game Boy. I mean, this thing has no shoulder buttons, only 2 face buttons. A lot of card games have terrible interfaces for actually building your deck, and it's not always clear what you're doing either. Thinking of the Yu-Gi-Oh games there. This game, it's impressive how much they got right on the first try. So if you go and talk to this one lab tech while not having any energy cards, he will just give you like 10 of each energy. So you can see, yeah, so like we just got 10 of each. So now we just dismantle this deck. And now we're much freer to build as we like. So let's see, what's the best stuff? First off, look at these ratios. 23 energy cards. How was I not drawing any last game? 3 fire energy in the whole thing. Okay. So first things first, every deck should have 4 Professor Oaks and 4 Bills as soon as possible. Bill is just draw 2 cards. It's less powerful version of Ancestral Recall and Magic, and it was still busted. Professor Oak, better version of Wheel of Fortune. Or I guess what's that one anti-card? Contract from Below? No, I think that's a Yu-Gi-Oh card. But it's the one that lets you draw 7. Energy Search to thin the deck, and energy removals to screw with the opponent. Switch is a very deceptively strong card if you are not like familiar with the Pokemon card game. So when you switch a Pokemon, its status conditions leave. So Switch doubles as a full heal. It makes full heal kind of redundant. Pokeball is Pokemon Ball. This is a tutor, like Demonic Tutor. It searches a card, but it's dependent on a coin flip, so I don't like to use it. Plus power, always good for getting extra damage. And Gust of Wind, very important card. Today I think the current card in rotation is Custom Catcher, which requires you to play like 2 copies of it at the same time to switch an opponent's Pokemon. Switching the opponent's active is very strong. It just lets you pick up knockouts out of nowhere, or stop the opponent from retreating out of a bad situation. Revive is pretty bad though. Alright, so first we're going to take a look at some of the key stuff we have. Rattata is pretty okay early game. The main thing is that it has no retreat cost, but 30 HP is pretty low for a basic. Most have at least 40, the best ones have 70, or even 80. And 1 colorless for 20 is pretty good. Doduo actually is a very good card. Saw a lot of competitive play back in the day. The thing is that a lot of flying types, or just Pokemon that are supposed to be really fast, like Rapidash, have no retreat cost. So it doesn't cost energy to retreat them and switch a benched one in. And also it resists fighting, which is one of the most powerful types in the game at this point. I might keep Kangaskhan in for the draws. Eevee has an interesting deck you can build around it. Like, it's not competitive by any means, but it's interesting for an in-game playthrough that you can search out its evolutions and just switch to which of the 3 you need at a time. Abra is another one with free retreat. I like it in Psychic decks. It's much better in the second game because it can evolve into Dark Kadabra, who has an ability where you can discard one. Basically, you filter. You discard one, you draw one. Diglett's one of those ones like Staryu that hits hard, 2 energy for 30. Having 3 Hitmonchan, okay, we're gonna end up with... I'm gonna have to nerf myself very quickly in this particular playthrough because the random number gods have smiled upon us, giving us nearly a full set of Hitmonchan this early. The games try to push you to do like pyramiding lines where you have 3 of a basic, 2 of its stage 1 evolution, 1 of its stage 2, and that's a bad idea. You should generally run the same number of evolutions as you're running of the base forms. If you're running, there's a card called Pokemon Breeder in this game. In the modern game, it's called Rare Candy that lets you skip from basic straight to stage 2. In that case, it's generally better to run like 2 to 4 copies of the basic, 1 to 2 copies of the stage 1, 2 to 4 copies of the stage 2, depending on whether you're going 2-1-2 or 4-2-4. One of these is, yeah, this is the Game Boy exclusive one. There's a couple cards that they were added just for the Game Boy game because they have effects like this, where, like, okay, each player fills his or her bench with basic Pokemon chosen at random from his or her deck. If a player has fewer basic Pokemon than that in his deck, he or she chooses all of them. Each player shuffles his or her deck afterwards. The random part only works because it's a video game. Those kinds of effects are what they printed on the GB cards. Rhyhorn is okay. Aerodactyl, the only issue with it is you have to run Mysterious Fossil, which we don't have any of right now, I think. So let's see, we've got 1, 2, 5 basic Pokemon. We can run 1 Cubone and 1 Marowak. I'll actually run the GB Marowak mainly for that first effect. And then we've already got 3 copies of Doduo. Electabuzz is another very good Haymaker type card. Requires electric energy though, and we don't have many electric Pokemon. Then let's see, what should we name our deck? Can't really say it's Hitmonchan and Friends deck, but Hitmonchan and Groupies, sure, he's like on a traveling stage show.
Hello kids! 君はもうたっぷりポケモン捕まえたポケモン150匹捕まえた君もまだまだの君もポケモンやるかなに挑戦だ How's your mouth rolling today? ピカチュウ、海竜、ヤドラン、ビジョン、コダック、コラッタ、ズバット、ギャロップサンダース、目のクラゲパワーカラカラたまたまガラガラ不思議だねアーボイブイウツドンエレブカビゴンカブトサイドンジュゴンポリゴンディグダドードリオゲンガードワスプジュアニャッシャワズ臭い花ランランラン